Imagine trying to find that missing firefighter with limited visibility, all while wearing this gear weighing anywhere from 50 to 80 pounds. They're looking at a property tax increase of about 2%. Last week, a Cheyenne boy rescued his little sister from a dog. Now he's being called a hero. A decision is made in Wyoming when it comes to prep fall sports. Wyoming State Parks and the Wyoming Business Council got into a back and forth on Twitter yesterday, but it was all in good fun. The two agencies were tweeting dad jokes. Hi, I'm Grace, and right now I'm the morning anchor and producer at Wyoming News Now. We're beginning this morning with breaking news. Just after 2 o'clock this morning, the Wyoming Department of Transportation sent out an alert that I-80 between the Nebraska state line and Cheyenne was closed because of a crash. And new this morning, hemp is being planted in Wyoming. Justin Leffler with Green Tree Ag said they are putting seed in the ground this week in Goshen County. Laramie County School District 1 is prepping for the upcoming school year. I have no desire to do that many burpees. And I know he's doing thousands of them, Aaron, but that's not a real jump either.
No, he was maybe going like 2 inches off the ground.
But before I became the morning anchor, I actually worked as a multimedia journalist. So coming up with story ideas on a daily basis, setting up those interviews, and editing it all together to bring information to Wyoming. As you can see behind me, Big Boy 4014 is indeed back in the capital city. You can see I have my hair a little different today in this hairnet. That's because we're in the kitchen at F.E. Warren Air Force Base for an Iron Chef competition. I'm going to step over so you can see some of the teams passing through, hard at work right now. How do you feel like Wyoming as a state is doing it when it comes to crossing divisions and having some of those conversations? And right before you guys tossed it out to me, we actually had 5 turkeys added, so we were at 63 for the day, but now we're up to 68.
And so we're asking that they come up to the same standard that everyone else does.
The Cheyenne Police Department is recommending the city continue providing public safety for events downtown during Frontier Days, but anything held on CFD property be covered by CFD. In 2019, Kozak says total costs for police overtime were around $150,000. CFD paid around 29% of that. Tom Hersig, Cheyenne Frontier Days CEO, says that they want some more questions answered. For instance, how does what they are being asked to pay get set?
Well, I just think, number one, coming to us 90 days before our show and you know, basically that process, that's a broken process. So we need to be more proactive. We didn't know that was coming, but now that we do, we need to start talking about that earlier.
So you mentioned you've been a long-time Cheyenne resident.
Yes.
So you've seen snow, you've seen wind, you've been in Wyoming for a while.
Yes.
But can you walk me through what was going through your head when you first looked outside and saw how buried your cars were this weekend?
What am I going to do? It was depressing. I didn't know what to do, and I just was scared.
Burnett says she reached out to the city for help after snow was piling up behind her car.
And they were really nice about it. And so, especially this morning, it was just shocking to see them come out as fast as they did.
And of course, dropping everything on a moment's notice to cover breaking news. That's when they finally got it under control. What they're doing out here is still just a little bit of mop-up duty. Now, Cheyenne PD also said that there was a suspect at large. Again, that was about a half hour ago. They were asking neighbors and people living in this area to stay inside. We don't know if that's changed yet. Well, officers are still investigating the student who made these threats, but police say he is cooperating with law enforcement. The Cheyenne Police Department says it filed 2 sworn statements from officers outlining how a member of the Catholic clergy and a person seeking to become a member of the clergy at the time sexually abused young men. Now, this investigation stems from a case that began in 2002, but that case was closed and reopened in 2018. The Wyoming Association of Broadcasters awarded me Best News Reporter in the TV category in 2020, and I was also a finalist in the Best Photography category for my work on the story Big Boy Returns.
I think it's important to keep in perspective that railroading is a 24/7 industry, and these locomotives operated 24/7 just like our modern locomotives do. So although it's going to be colder and there's other precautions that we take because of cold weather, we weren't concerned at all.
I would say I'm creative. I love working with our director in the morning to figure out the best ways that we can really tell a story. Welcome back to Wyoming News Now. Usually we give you a look at our Skycam right now, but in less than 4 minutes, NASA will be launching that rover Perseverance into space, so we thought we'd give you a live look at Cape Canaveral. As a journalist, I'm committed to covering stories with integrity. I want to be the best I can be every day. I think I have a responsibility to report and anchor to the best of my ability because I want to be a person you can trust. The 124th Daddy of them all has been canceled. Governor Mark Gordon making the announcement yesterday afternoon. Holding back tears, the governor announced in a press conference that 6 of the state's largest summer rodeos have been canceled. Aaron and Tiffany, Governor Gordon's message during his State of the State address was relatively simple. Wyoming is strong. How do we keep it that way? That failed in the Senate today, 11-18, with 1 excused, and that vote coming after several senators made the decision to switch their yes votes to no's once they realized that it wasn't actually going to have the vote count that it needed to be able to move forward for introduction in the Senate. And something that I heard quite a bit going into the budget session back in February and March was that this is the people's house. That's something Speaker of the House Steve Harshman has said repeatedly, and that's one thing that's missing here today. The general public is not allowed in the Capitol building today for this special session. An update regarding a shooting that happened late Friday night. Police say Benjamin Ketchum was located and in police custody. He is a person of interest in the shooting we've previously reported on. Police say they responded to the 500 block of Central Avenue shortly before 11 Friday night and found a 36-year-old man who was shot. Police say the man was transported to Cheyenne Regional Medical Center where he died from his injuries. And War Memorial Stadium won't be packed out like usual this season. It's being reported that the university will likely keep its football stadium capacity around 20 to 35% of what it usually holds. That's about 6,000 to 10,000 people instead of the usual stadium capacity of 29,000 fans. Wyoming Highway Patrol is confirming that an accident this morning did involve a fatality. This morning, just after 2, the Wyoming Department of Transportation sent out an alert that I-80 between the Nebraska state line and Cheyenne was closed because of a crash. Jeff Vizina shared these images and videos with us this morning showing debris from a semi-truck on the highway. Part of the truck is against the pedestrian walkway that goes over I-80. Highway Patrol says it will be updating us with more information. There are a lot of things about this job that can be stressful, but the good news is it's also really fun. I'm trying to stay positive out here. You know, those kids don't have to go to school today. City employees are home. I'm going to try and have a little bit of fun while I'm at work. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead in this huge pile of snow right now. I'm going to make a snow angel really quick and just fall back here, you know, do this. Back to you, Carrie. Winds out of the southwest, and then let's jump into this next one. And I am just kidding. April Fools, I am not doing your full weather forecast. Yeah, so only a few more nights, right, for Santa to get ready before he delivers gifts. So we're going to talk a little bit about Santa Claus. Now, his story closely tied to a historic figure. Can you tell me which historic person is the story of Santa Claus closely tied to? Google's Santa Tracker went live at midnight. A live map will track the magic, showing Santa's exact location moment to moment. He and his reindeer will visit more than 400 locations, and the Google Santa Tracker will display how many miles or kilometers they are from you and your town and how long it will take them to get there. So I actually have Santa Tracker pulled up right now. It looks like he's going to get here in about 18 and a half hours and is currently on his way to Japan.
Thank you, Grace.
You're
I appreciate
welcome.
it.
Happy second Monday, Julian. I had so much fun this morning getting to meet so many women from different states kind of representing Arkansas, Texas, Idaho. They were all out here earlier this morning. It was a ton of fun. We met here at 6 this morning. Well, folks, maybe you've had your boots for years and they're already broken in, or you've taken the time to have your hat fitted so it sits just right. But maybe you're like me and you found these tips helpful because you got your hat from someone else. Well, I even heard that you can take an earplug and stick it in your hat to help make sure it fits a little more snug. That's been working for me just fine. For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk. The 11-year-old panda weighs 264 pounds and eats about 88 pounds of fresh bamboo shoots every day, as well as other fruits.
All right, I just gotta say, it's nice to see that brown panda, the rare brown panda, is just vibing and whatnot, but oh my gosh, 88 pounds of bamboo, Grace? I can't fathom that. That is insane to me.
Just lounging on the couch. That kind of is how I like sit and watch TV and eat snacks on the weekends. Just like totally relax.
Totally,
Oh
yeah,
my
I'm
gosh.
the same way. I just don't eat 88 pounds of food.
If you're planning on taking these out on the trails this summer, make sure you're following proper trail etiquette. For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk. Again, you can catch me bright and early Monday through Friday, starting at 5:30 a.m. on Wyoming News Now. But to tide you over, here are a few of my favorite stories.
If you aren't one to decorate as soon as Thanksgiving is over and still need to find a Christmas tree, why not cut one down in a national forest?
Hey, why not? Grace Foulk went out to a Medicine Bow National Forest. She takes us with her as she tries finding the perfect tree.
It's $10 to buy a permit with the Medicine Bow Route National Forest. After I purchased mine, Aaron Voos, Public Affairs Specialist with the Forest Service, is helping me find a tree.
Cutting your Christmas tree down on your own in the National Forest, I think it's great that that's even an option, that people even have an option to do it.
Well, we're in the car on our way to the southern end of the snowy range. It's starting to snow a little bit on our drive up to find a Christmas tree. And it's actually the first Christmas tree I'll ever cut down, so hopefully we'll get up there if the snow doesn't get too bad.
Most people do it year after year, and it becomes a tradition for either themselves or themselves and their family or their friends. And so once you know the general regulations, it's usually pretty easy.
Well, in true Wyoming fashion, snow happened. This is where we were supposed to be going, but instead we turn around, see a moose, and find a new spot. After parking the car, it's time to put on the snowshoes and find a tree. Well, we've walked around for a little bit in our snowshoes, and this is the tree that I'm going to take back to our house for Christmas. Oh, perfect. There it is.
We're in a spot where it's kind of near a bunch of aspen and kind of near some big game winter habitat. And so it actually benefits the forest to cut this kind of small tree out, because then it'll let the aspens grow into this area.
After finding the tree, it's time to slowly make our way back to the car. Put on the tag. Perfect. It's definitely not 6 inches in diameter. And head home. Oh, yep. All right. It's heavier than my tree. It took us a few hours to figure out a spot to park and actually go and snowshoe and find a tree, but I have my tree and we're heading back to Laramie now. For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk. Over 1,000 projects are underway here during this turnaround at Holly Frontier. Now this tower here is one of them. It's reached the end of its life and workers are in the process of installing a new one in its place.
As the plant manager, to see the upgrades that we get to do and to be able to, get into this equipment and see all the internals and see the inner workings of our equipment out here, and that is an enjoyable part of a turnaround.
Holly Frontier regularly employs 300 people, but a job like this requires more help.
So the logistics of doing a turnaround of this magnitude is quite complicated.
On top of bringing in cranes and all of the equipment for the turnaround, Holly Frontier is bringing in 1,800 contracted employees.
This work that we're doing really helps us to be able to be here for the long term.
They're working around the clock on cleaning, maintenance, testing, and improvements.
They're highly skilled and very well trained.
If you're driving by and don't see too many people on the scaffolding, that's because there's a lot of work that takes place on the inside of the equipment.
And the fact that they come here to help us out is just, it's a privilege for us, and we sure appreciate the partnerships we have with the community and with our contractors to be able to pull off something this big.
Turnaround started in mid-September, and Holly Frontier is expecting the project to wrap up by the end of October. For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk.
Ladder 1. I was searching the basement and ceiling came down. I'm trapped under something in the basement. I'm running out of air.
Imagine trying to find that missing firefighter with limited visibility, all while wearing this gear weighing anywhere from 50 to 80 pounds.
I've got people coming in.
As a chief, I never want to hear that call. I never want to hear the Mayday call.
The Mayday call. It's what these firefighters are training to respond to.
If they get it right here, the odds are they're going to get it right when we have to do it.
Rapid intervention teams are the teams that go in when a firefighter gets into trouble.
Let's get going, guys. Let's go.
An instructor from Indiana is coaching the team trying to locate a trapped firefighter in a dark and smoky room.
Relay that last bit of information he just passed on to the chief. What did he pass on?
Chief Hoggett says he wants all of his firefighters to be aware of what they're getting into so that they don't have to actually go through this on a call.
But there's so many uncontrolled conditions in a structure fire, we never know when something happens.
Hey, Terry, where you at on there? I'm at 32. 32? Yes, sir.
When arriving on scene at a fire, Chief Hoggett says they don't know how long it's been burning for, which could lead to unpredictable situations.
They run out of air, they can't get out. We've got to be able to go get them.
Chief Hoggett says that they're going to take the RIT training and spread it out to all of their firefighters, making sure they know what they have to do when another is trapped. For Wyoming News Now, I'm Grace Foulk.